Welcome back, riders. Today is my official review of the Himiway Cruiser. I've had this bike for about 8 months, although for most of you that's really the equivalent of 2 or 3 months, simply because I have to spread my time throughout a lot of different bikes. Still, I've taken it on a handful of long-range trips and a lot of short trips around town and going to work, so I think I can give you a pretty fair view of what to expect with a bike like this. My opinions about this bike compared to the first impressions video not really changed much, although I do have other bikes I can compare it to now so we can see if the price is still worth it. Jumping straight to the point, this bike has been solid, giving me absolutely no issues. I haven't even had a flat tire on this thing, which is surprising. I thought with the fat tire bikes I'd get more flat tires because of their wider footprint, but I guess the lower PSI just makes them less likely to pick up thorns and random junk on the road. Or I've just gotten lucky, I don't know, it's one of the two. Now, that is saying quite a bit, because here in Louisiana, our roads are crap and our trails aren't much better. Although I don't purposefully abuse the bike, it's not babied whatsoever. This will be the last time you see the Cruiser on my channel, because I'm sending it to a fellow YouTuber, who's not exactly an electric bike enthusiast. I'm not giving away the channel name just yet, but he's been one of my longtime subscribers who's pretty adamant about the gas bikes. I just want to get his point of view, riding an electric, compared to gas. My only condition being that he doesn't set it on fire, or purposefully destroy the bike. Essentially, treat it as if it was one of the bikes he built himself. Even with me, there's no replacing the sweet sound of a two-stroke and the fact that you built it yourself for cheap, but I still think he's going to enjoy this for certain applications. Now, for today's ride, I'm going to be trying something a little bit different. I've never done this before, so bear with me. I'll explain why at the end of the video, and it will make more sense during the review. During each video clip, while I'm riding the bike, I'm going to attempt to narrate my thoughts, what I'm thinking at that exact moment, to the best of my memory. This is different than as if I would just be talking to the camera while riding the bike. As many of you know, when you're going on long rides, your mind can tend to wander onto random things. And today, you'll get to hear those random things. I'll probably be trying this again soon with some of the gas bikes because I think you guys might get a kick out of the random thoughts that go through my head while traveling 30 miles an hour on a $100 Walmart beach cruiser. Oh joy. Anyways, let's get on to the ride. What the hell do I care about calorie burn? My ass is never gonna be in shape. Screw you, Louisiana. It's still winter. Why is it so humid? At least it's windy. This thing working? Alright. Oh, this guy's waiting for me. If I get on the grass, he'll know I'm turning. I wonder whatever happened to the family that lived in here. They were trying to fix it up when we moved in. That was a long time ago. I bet somebody squats in there now. I don't care what the comments say. I am not riding on the side of this sketchy road. The sidewalk's bad enough. This is exactly what fat tires were built for. I can't take another review video of somebody riding these things on smooth city streets and calling it a review. Well, I probably should have pumped that PSI a little bit lower. There's a big ditch there now. That wasn't there before. Woo! It's just the bike and not my feet. Mostly. Oh man. Oh, it's paved. Oh, hell yeah. Looks like there's another way up and down there. That might be easier for next time. I'm pretty sure the paving stops right here. Let's go check it out just in case. Look at this. A sign that hasn't been shot to pieces yet. It's official. Hell yeah. Oh, this is gonna make this so much easier. I don't know if you guys remember the last time, or last 2 times we took this trail. We got it done, but holy crap, it was a bear. I think the first time was on the Taff, the Swin Taff with the 2-stroke. It made it through, but it was a hell of a ride. And I couldn't go very fast because it was just jumping all over the place. It was loose railway gravel. And the last time was on the WTVA, I believe it was the Orion. And it was a much smoother ride compared to the Taff because it got them big old fat tires. But it was still rough. And it soaked up a lot of the battery. Not only is this going to be nice for today's trip, because it's going to save us a lot of battery, because I'm a little skeptical about 40 miles round trip, but so many of my future rides can start here because this is so convenient. And other than that first little trashy section next to the highway, this is all pretty clean. I can't believe they paved it. This is awesome. Let's get at it. Oh, thank God for this pavement. This feels amazing. This is going to save me so much pedaling. I wonder if they took it all the way to the trailhead. That would be awesome. I didn't even notice last time I was here. There's a creek running along the side of this trail. I didn't see it, I guess, because of all the green on the trees. It looks pretty good. Oh, okay, pay attention. Let's not go off the trail. That would hurt. So I've seen people fishing at these little bridges before. I wonder if there's anything good to catch. I don't really know anything about fishing, but I would like to make a bike fishing video. I've been saying that for years. It's been requested, but I'm lazy. I don't have a lot of energy. And I'd have to try and make it entertaining because just fishing is not very exciting. Last time I was fishing was with my dad. That was, what, 4 years ago? Gum Springs. Oh, God, that sucked. It was so hot, and we caught 1 fish. It was a small fish, too. I think we just threw it back or used it for bait for bigger fish. I can't remember. Let's get the 360 camera over this bridge. Who the heck's calling me? Oh, no, that's my alarm. Woke up early today. Lucky me. View's better in the summertime, but it's so hot, it's hard to enjoy. Well, back to the rough stuff. That's unfortunate, but well, I mean, there's trail markers, so they're getting to it. I think this would have been done years ago, but COVID kind of screwed up everything. Coming up on another trail marker. I love to see that. Before I was always pretty sure this was public, but not 100% sure about it. At least now I don't have to worry about any random Karens popping out of the woods to tell me I can't be here. I love this sound. Gravel underneath these big old tires. I could fall asleep to this. It's a rough ride, but beautiful, so definitely worth it. I could have probably made this ride a little bit smoother with lower PSI, but because I'm going such a long distance, I just put them at 30, which is the max for these tires. I figure making sure that I get home with battery is a little more important than max comfort. But I will have to come back through here with low PSI and just see how much of a difference it makes. It looks like it's going to keep going that way. And I was really curious about that too, because I wasn't sure if this was private property. New and exciting things. But we're going this way today. Oh, probably should have raised that seat a bit more. I'm going to regret that later. Nice, a clear cut. Finding a fresh clear cut before they replant all the trees. It's a sight to behold, especially in Louisiana. You can often forget what the horizon looks like. These trails can sometimes feel a bit claustrophobic. That's a little too negative to use. In a good way, if that's possible. You're surrounded by trees everywhere you go. I grew up in Southern California. Out there, if you didn't water it, nothing grew. So you could see miles into the distance. Now out here, if you don't cut it, everything grows. You know what? I bet this would be a nice spot to come set off some bangers. You let loose a loud firecracker in a clear cut, and you get an echo off the trees in the distance that sounds amazing. It's impossible to describe. You have to hear it in person. Microphones on the cameras do not do it justice. Here's the inlet. I'll go ahead and check this out. It's going to be private property, so I can't ride down here, but it's definitely worth a look. Oh, if I caught this during golden hour right before sunset, this would look absolutely amazing. I'll have to remember it and come back sometime. Alright, range estimations. So far the longest trip I've taken this on is 35 miles. It was a round trip. Came home, had 2 bars of battery left under load. That was pretty good. Now it's a 17.5 amp hour battery. And I'm going, let's see, 14 miles an hour. So 14 miles an hour. At the most I've taken 4 amps to keep that pace with moderate pedaling. Not breaking a sweat. So let's see, that would be 4, 8, 12, 16. Give ourselves a little bit of wiggle room on the battery, so let's say 16 amp hours. So that would be 14, 28, 42, 56? 56 miles keeping this pace. So we definitely should be good as long as I don't get carried away on the throttle. But it does give us a little bit of room to have some fun. Looks like I've burned 382 calories so far, just for whatever that's worth. 2 crosses, 1 large, 1 small. I think I know what that means. I wonder what happened. Drunk driving, fell asleep, texting, just distracted. Maybe a tire blew out, who knows? Who's that YouTuber who hiked this entire trail on foot? Louisiana Hikes. This might have been one of, if not his longest hikes. This is a 60-mile one-way from start to finish. 120 if you do a return trip. I don't think he did the return trip. I think he had someone pick him up, but I can't really blame him. 60 miles on foot's already quite a trip. Some sections of this trail, I don't know how he had the willpower to push on. I guess it was nothing more than commitment. You can get these long, flat stretches with no elevation changes and no turns in the trail. We've got a highway on one side, so the view is not that great. It doesn't bother me on the motorized bikes because you get through it so fast, but I couldn't imagine taking a pedal bike down this entire trail, let alone going by foot. You see these houses with a trail in their front yard. I wonder if they ever take advantage of it. I know I would. I'd be out on this thing every week if it was in my front yard. It's a great place to test motorized bikes. I remember that one time I was on the Varlet Eagle 1 scooter. I was just cruising down, nice and quiet. All of a sudden this horse jumps out onto the trail from the woods. And I rang the bell, and the horse damn near freaked out, and yeah, the rider did not look happy. What was I supposed to do? It wasn't my fault. I was just minding my own business. Of course, if it was a gas bike, they would have heard me coming. The electrics, they're so silent. I wonder if this year I'll finally conquer this entire 60-mile trail. I've tried twice, once on the YD100 and second time on the 250 Dual Sport. And both times I was forced to turn around simply because the trail conditions were just garbage. I wonder if I can bypass certain sections of the trail that I can't ride down. There are a lot of roads that go along the side of this trail. Maybe I can use some of those. I don't know, I'd have to scout it out. The further north I go on this thing, the worse it gets. Right now it's fine, but it gets bad. Rutted up mud, full of water. You get to push your bike for miles. Though, I wonder if this would be a good long-range camping trip for the dual battery bike. I've been looking for a place to go. Now that bike has enough battery that it could probably conquer this entire trail if conditions were nice the whole way, but they're not. What I could do is use one battery to go as far as possible and then come home on the second battery after we camped overnight. You're not technically supposed to camp on this trail, but Louisiana Hikes got away with it, and it would be stealthy. I think I could do it. I think we're going to do it. Yes, we're going to take the dual battery bike on a long-range camping trip as far north on this trail as it'll let me go. I just realized that I can get my trail pass from the butler's pantry right here in Calvin. That cuts my trip in half. Hello, doggy. Goodbye, doggy. Okay, so we'll just take some back roads and change up our path a little bit. We'll make the trip a little more exciting. Save us some time. I'm so glad they built this here. Calvin needed something so bad.
Hello.
Hello again. Alrighty. Do you sell the trail passes?
I do.
I need one. Sweet. Trail pass obtained at 10 miles instead of 20, which takes our 40-mile round trip down to 25 miles. We add a few extras on these back roads, but this means I can throw all the range calculations out the window and just gun the throttle the entire way home. Well, at least most of it. This is going to be a lot more beautiful. I love cutting through these back roads. And the sun's finally poking through so we get some color. Nice. A quick break from Thoughts of the Mind. This is actual narration. In case anyone's wondering what the colored stripes are on this bike, it doesn't come like that. It comes as mostly just a blacked out frame with a front light and a rear light. These are vinyl reflective stickers that I got off Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description. So far, they've held up really well to hot, cold weather, rain, mud. They don't seem to come off very easily. I cleaned the bike with rubbing alcohol before I put them on, and they stick really well. I used this bike a lot when I was testing it to go to work, and then because I work at night, I wanted it to be a little more visible. So I got red stripes in the back, yellow on the side, and on the stem in front of the forks, I put white stripes, just to be a little safer. That would be smoke. I promise my electric bike did not set the woods on fire. Must be a controlled burn somewhere. I wonder if I can find it. Those are always fun to ride through. I've come through this intersection on the bikes at least a dozen times. Why do I still have to check my phone each time to make sure I take the right turn? Well, for now, small detour. I found the burn, and this looks eerily pleasant. It's almost haunting. So final thoughts and review of the Himiway Cruiser, and exactly why we tried this little thought experiment, narrating what I was thinking at the time to the best of my memory. You may have noticed that during our trip, for the most part, we weren't thinking about the bike, more or less the trail, and other random thoughts that came to mind. There were a few moments, such as tire PSI, seat height, and trying to guess my range, but not really the bike itself, because I wasn't worried about it. The Himiway Cruiser, for me, has been nothing but reliable. It's a solid-built bike with relatively good looks, although I have to admit, the rack does look like a bit of an afterthought. Doesn't tend to match the bike too much, despite their best efforts to put a custom wood-grained Himiway logo on the rack. They did their best. But I like this bike, and I think it's a solid choice. How does it compare to another bike we've tested, which has really similar specs and is closely priced? Now, obviously, there are a lot of bikes you can compare this to, but these are just some things you'd want to keep in mind when weighing your option. The closest bike I have to compare this to would be the Velotric Nomad One, coming in at $1,500, with the Cruiser Pro coming in at $1,600. This is at the time of recording, of course. So let's talk about some of the pros that the Nomad One has over the Cruiser, and then vice versa. First, the Nomad is $100 cheaper. It has hydraulic brakes front and rear, and is by far the most comfortable bike out of the box I've ever ridden. The Nomad One also has noticeably more power. Whether it's the aggressive tune or the speed controller motor combination, I feel like it has more punch whenever it has to crest a hill. With the Nomad, you get more color options, along with my personal favorite, bright yellow, or what they call mango. It also uses a thumb throttle with a push-pull trigger shifter, which is more convenient for shifting gears without changing your grip. Both bikes have what I consider to be adequate front suspension quality. However, I feel like on the Nomad, it's a little bit sturdier. This might be the quality of the forks or the simple geometry of the frame. It just feels a little better off-road. And even though I believe both bikes carry water resistance ratings, the Nomad One clearly specifies its IPX6 waterproof rating, which is considerable on an electric bike. On the Himiway Cruiser, I couldn't find any on their website, but from practical experience, I can say that this thing can withstand rain, puddles, mud, so on. Now I'll talk about where the Cruiser from Himiway shines over the Nomad. Included with the Cruiser is, of course, the rear rack. Might look a little out of place, but it does its job well. Both bikes' headlights are adequate in my opinion. However, the Himiway Cruiser includes a rear taillight and brake light. On the Nomad, they do include one in the box, but it's non-rechargeable and it's powered off a button cell battery. The Cruiser is powered off the bike's internal battery. And for that battery, both bikes use quality LG or Samsung cells. However, the Himiway Cruiser gives you a considerably extended range due to its 17.5 amp hour battery as opposed to the 14.8 in the Nomad. Both bikes use simple monochrome displays, which are easy to see in direct sunlight, and both include USB charging. In the Nomad One, you'll find no customization options, but on the Cruiser you can customize the levels of pedal assist, how many you have, and how much power is given to each level. This allows you to fine-tune cadence for each gear on the bike. And if you're not familiar with electric bikes, it's kind of a big deal for comfort and convenience to be able to customize your pedal assist levels. Both bikes will allow you to use either pedal assist or throttle only, but unfortunately neither of them have cruise control. I'll leave a link in the description to my first impressions of the Nomad One in case you want a clearer picture of exactly what we're comparing. However, I chose to compare these two bikes because not only are they similar in style and capabilities, but their price is only $100 different. And here's what I have to say about these two bikes. The Nomad One would probably be better suited for somebody in city traffic who wants occasional adventure riding. Its more aggressive power system and hydraulic brakes are simply better suited for stop-and-go traffic, more power to accelerate from a stop, and the hydraulic brakes don't require constant adjustment. But for weekend warriors, somebody who just wants to go out and ride for a day or go bike camping, I feel like the Himiway Cruiser is the best option. Its extended range on the bigger battery, included rear rack, and taillight that's powered off the bike's actual battery is a convenience for long-range enthusiasts. So I hope you guys got some useful information out of today's video, or at the very least were mildly entertained. And until next time, ride safe.